In this video, we present our paper, NeuMesh, Learning Disentangled Neural Mesh-Based Implicit Field for Geometry and Texture Editing. Neural implicit field has achieved great success in 3D reconstruction and view synthesis. However, existing methods for editing purpose are quite limited, such as whole material replacement, rigid transformation, or color and geometry editing on certain object types. But, what does CG creation actually wants? Supporting non-rigid deformation for geometry editing? Editing object textures precisely at region of interest? Swapping textures to dress up newly created objects? Or even painting new patterns in a user-friendly way? Now, we propose a novel representation, called NeuMesh, to fulfill these demands. Here are our editing functionalities. A mesh-guided geometry editing, designated texture editing with texture swapping of two objects, texture filling with materials from pre-captured objects, and texture painting by transferring user paints from 2D image to 3D field. The core idea of our work is to transfer a baked MLP-based implicit model into a mesh-based representation, which grants editable capability through a mesh-based workflow. As shown on the left, we encode the neural implicit field on a mesh scaffold, where we disentangle geometry and texture with separated latent codes in mesh vertices. During the volume rendering stage, each query point is assigned with locally interpolated codes. We then transform the interpolated codes and point-to-vertex distances into SDF and colors with separated decoders. Our NeuMesh is supervised with output from a teacher model, and the photometric loss to the target images. Please refer to our paper for more details. Now, we will show how we enable editing with our representation. Since the neural implicit field has been tightly aligned to the mesh surface, we simply deform the corresponding mesh, and the change will synchronously take effect on the implicit field and the rendered object. For texture swapping, we first select objects through mesh vertices, such as two apples, and perform non-rigid alignment to register these two objects. Then, we swap the texture codes on the aligned vertices. Here, the textures of the red apple and the yellow apple have been swapped seamlessly while the geometry remains unchanged. For texture filling, we first select mesh vertices of the interest area as before, and unwrap the UV map with 3D modeling software. Then, we repeatedly fill the mesh vertices on the UV map with latent texture templates from a pre-captured NeuMesh model. As we show, the gray and the brown hair from a teddy bear has been pasted into the chest and the cloth of the Buddha. For texture painting, we first let users paint on a single 2D image. Then, we find the affected texture codes with ray mesh intersections, as highlighted on the right side. During the optimization, we only fine-tune these affected texture codes while ignoring others. Here is the final result, where the ECCV logo has been branded on the head of the skull, and the other part keeps untouched. Now, we will show more results of geometry and texture editing. Here are the examples of geometry editing. By bending the corresponding geometry proxy, the rendered objects are synchronously deformed. And here are the examples of texture swapping, where we transfer the texture from the red area to the yellow area. As shown in the demo, our method successfully exchanges textures while preserving rich details. Then, we show 3 examples of texture filling. We first select texture templates from pre-captured NeuMesh models, which are illustrated with several colored dots below the objects. We fill the selected area of target objects with these texture templates. As you can see, the edited objects exhibit the texture from the templates, and also show rich view-dependent effects, such as shiny plate and golden metals. We now show 4 examples of texture painting. Our method successfully transfers painting from a single 2D image to the neural implicit field, and allows free preview of painted objects in rendered novel views, which reflects the philosophy of, what you get is what you see. Finally, we show 2 examples of hybrid editing, where we combine texture filling, swapping and painting with geometry deformation, which demonstrate the superior editing flexibility of our representation. Thanks for watching.